It's something.
Yeah.
And we are live. So here I am wishing my bronchitis could return so I wouldn't have to speak about this fucking movie. Welcome to episode 208 of An American Werewolf in New Jersey. I am the American Werewolf. In the house tonight, we've got John K. Alvarez. He led the invasion of New Jersey and is living to tell the tale almost 40 years later. So that's saying something. And we've got Eric from Hey Internet Eric here, who always stops to hang out and shoot the shit.
Pleasure.
Comes to some films.
Oh, and shooting the shit is perfect for this.
Well, now hold on a second. Hold on, because there is a little bit of redemption in here. Hold on, I'm gonna find it. The holiday season is in full swing. I mean, we are less than 3 weeks away from Christmas. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that we would have a theme, because Eric started this conversation. I'm not going to do anything for Christmas. He just texted me about the show, and I'm like, no, I hadn't really planned on it. So I was like, yeah, all right, we could do something. And so I came up with this theme. I'm having a rough Christmas, which is basically just about people that are not having a good, Christmas. The holidays are rough. But I thought we'd sort of take it in a funny kind of stride way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started looking for films that are that take place on Christmas, because I don't want to do Die Hard. There's nothing new to talk about Die Hard.
Mm-hmm.
So the main film that we're going to be focusing on for Christmas will be Richard Donner's Lethal Weapon. That'll be the first movie. We're also going to be working on an Arnold classic that I love. I think one day I watched this 3 times in one day, actually. Jingle All the Way. Which is actually, I think, a very funny movie with Phil Hartman and Sinbad, because Phil Hartman is just such a douchebag in that movie.
Yeah, Sinbad's great in it.
The late great Phil Hartman.
Yes.
We miss him. I wish
Absolutely.
he was still around.
Not to speak ill of the dead, but he was a douchebag in this movie.
Yes, absolutely.
He did his job.
And we've also got Tim Burton's Batman Returns, which I think Julia was very up for and will be joining us to discuss that one. We haven't discussed any We did The Dark Knight. Knight. But past that, I don't think we've done too much Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, well, I need a 4th movie. And so I started Googling Christmas movies, whatever. Mm-hmm. And somehow Invasion USA popped up as a Christmas movie.
Had you seen this movie before you made the decision?
I saw it in 1986.
Okay, so that means no.
No.
Okay.
So I sort of remembered that there was a mall scene and it was Chuck Norris. And I'm like, well, this ought to be fun. It's Chuck Norris. It's it's this, that, and the other. And so I hadn't watched Invasion USA since 1986, with the exception of tonight, which I watched it and finished it up about an hour before we went on. And this might be the worst movie I personally have suggested. It might be the worst movie we've ever reviewed on the channel. This might actually rival Children of the Corn. I think it's a little better than that. Because we do have Chuck Norris.
Well, we also got The Vampire in Brooklyn. I think they could go.
Well, that was only a suggestion.
Yeah.
That was only a suggestion.
Yeah, but the suggestion enough puts it on the ranking page.
Mike is not that desperate enough for content to have Vampire in Brooklyn.
Yeah. I knew that. I knew to shut that down right away. But this was all right. Well, let's.
Hi, Rod.
Shall we get it going?
Let's get it going.
Let's do it.
Ho ho ho.
So I was watching this, and it's available now on Tubi and I think Pluto TV. So if you want to watch it, you can. And this goes back to the old days of Canon Films in the 80s. where they were making these really low budget action films with ridiculous plots and ridiculous action and explosions, and they were extremely popular. These movies were extremely popular back in the day. There were lots of people who were trying to grab that Arnold Schwarzenegger brass ring, and Chuck Norris was certainly right up there with the best of them, churning out these movies, one after the other, and some were better than others. And this actually inspired me to think I could do like a spring of martial arts films. Because there are actually some really good Chuck Norris movies out there. And there's one on there that I saw when they rolled the credits called Code of Silence. Which is
I have that one.
That's a really, really, really good cop movie with Henry Silva, and it's about police corruption. And it's not a ridiculous, over the top. I think there's a couple of fights in it. So maybe in the spring, after we do Cold and Scary, we'll start to look at this spring of martial arts. And we'll get back to Chuck Norris. You mean that would be a good time?
You mean the March of Martial Arts in March?
Perhaps towards the end of March, as it starts to warm up.
Martial arts,
martial arts. But it occurred to me that this could be a movie that you could remake today. Like you could do.
I thought of that.
What I was watching on the TV, I swear to God, this is true. What I was watching on the TV screen, I was like, this could be the 2:00 news. This could, like 40 years into the future, we're actually living some of this, whack, weird, evil shit. I mean, we just had a mass shooting today, UNLV.
Right.
4 people killed, and of course the gunman gets killed. He's never gonna, nothing's ever gonna, he's already being stabbed with pitchforks, down in hell. So, he's just, he escapes any sort of earthly,
justice.
comeuppance. Yeah, justice. But you could do something like a big patriotic movie with like a Chris Hemsworth. That would be like the equivalent today of these people illegally coming across the border. Gee, where have we heard that before? Launching civilian attacks. Gee, where are we watching this on the news right now? And, there's just, one man, like a reacher, kind of guy, out there just, punching his way into justice with something a little more than some Uzis. Don't misunderstand me. Yeah. But
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was jumping on with your agreement, saying because the way they were acting and the government didn't know what to do and they were clueless and the suits were and it was one man. One man who could step in.
Yeah, I mean, they made Red Dawn. They made a couple, but you could remake something like this, Invasion USA, and it would probably make $1 billion if you did.
One man is Mark Wahlberg.
Don't give him any ideas.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
I'd rather have Donnie.
Yeah, I'd rather have Hemsworth, or as long as it's not Pedro Pascal or something like that, or but whoever, not Jason Statham. But you could remake this today, and like people would totally relate to it. The problem with this movie is that just the story it's got a halfway decent premise, but the script was co-written by Chuck Norris. I saw that in the credits, and it's just the story is just badly fucking done. It's awful.
There's a reason why Chuck is a martial artist and not a writer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Go ahead.
I was trying to think of a term that could come up with considered the depth of plot in this movie. And I could not come up with anything that could not be said on this show because it's kind of children may be watching it and you'll be bleeping me out if you have a buzzer because I was thinking
no go
no, we said worse.
Yeah.
No, the depth. The one I came up with is that the depth of plot in this movie was lower than a salamander's dick. I mean, it's that it had almost every cliche in a bad way.
Oh yeah.
And Mike, do you remember when you were talking about? I was on the show when you were talking about Indiana Jones and the
Dial of Destiny. Yeah.
We had mentioned that they took the Indiana Jones out of an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
I'm a Chuck Norris fan. You mentioned Code of Silence, Lone Wolf McQuade.
Sure.
Is
missing in action.
Yeah, the mission, all three of them I liked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this movie, I'm like, they took the Chuck Norris out of Chuck Norris in it.
Yeah.
He only did one roundhouse, but he's jumping on tables and kicking people. And the mullet I couldn't get over. And Canon Films.
Let's not be too judgmental. Leave the mullet alone.
Well, it was 85.
It's 1985 and it's Chuck Norris, so I can't judge that.
In 1986, Lethal Weapon came out.
Oh yeah, well,
and Canon Films produced it, and I'm looking at Chuck Norris and this, and going, he's the pre-type, the Riggs in that movie, off on his own, drinking a beer, more guns and the mullet.
Mm-hmm.
Type deal. They took the Chuck Norris out of it like they were trying to make him something else, and I figured that was the worst mistake that they did. Because I truly believe they put the Chuck Norris we all know and make jokes with.
I think, like I said, this movie could have been a lot better with a better screenwriter.
I agree.
This could have been a lot better with you have no idea who this guy is. He's almost like the man with no name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Except you're almost not interested.
Right.
He's this guy, I guess he used to be in the CIA, and now for some reason he lives in the Florida Everglades, wrestling gators in isolation. And this team of mercenaries just sort of comes ashore in the United States and just starts launching civilian attacks all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The leader of them is played by Richard Jekyll, who always sort of made me cringe back then. And, he wasn't doing much to help me today. And apparently his worst nightmare, he has this recurring nightmare of being kicked in the face by Chuck Norris, which I actually thought was kind of funny because, that would be a horrible nightmare to just keep having. Yeah. Chuck Norris keeps kicking your ass.
Mm-hmm. Especially the foot came out of his beard.
Yeah, exactly. I was reminded of Napoleon Dynamite with Rex Kwon Do, or you want to get kicked in the face with somebody wearing a pair of these, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You've got even Billy Drago is in this for 5 minutes. And I like Billy Drago.
Me too.
I think he would have been a much better villain than
Billy Drago. See, Billy Drago has charisma.
Right.
That's why he should have been the villain. Whoever this villain, I don't know the actor's name, but me and Mike have seen him before. He's in Rob Zombie's Halloween. He's the principal.
Richard Jekyll.
Who and he's rough to look at. He looks really, really rough. I think they honestly just hired him because of his look, because he looks evil. And he if you switched him for Billy Drago, this would have been a much, using this term loosely, better film. You know what I mean? Because like I said, Billy Drago at least has the charisma needed. You know what I mean? There's not much to this character. He's a Russian who wants to blow up, Florida,
America. So fat in
America.
Yeah, but
Billy
Drago
expect what
can
do
it.
I mean,
what's that guy's name again, Mike?
Which one?
The villain?
Richard Jekyll.
I saw a thing where somebody turned around and said Richard Jekyll reminds me of a discount store version of Rutger Hauer. And I went, you know what? I would rather have Rutger Hauer in that movie.
Oh, well, we'd be talking
Rutger Hauer in the 80s in his heyday would have been great.
Oh, but you're talking, Richard Jekyll's like a D-level Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, but
that's why he's in a Canon film.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, Rutger Hauer is making The Hitcher.
Yeah,
Rutger Hauer is doing Lady Hawk. Rutger Hauer is doing Blade Runner. He's not.
What's the movie he did with Stallone in the early
Nighthawks. Yeah, Billy D.
Yeah, Billy D. Williams
in that movie, and that's a great movie. Watching this guy, I'm like, you need the Rutger Hauer.
Yeah. Well, Rutger Hauer makes everything cooler automatically by 20%. Eric, in his follow through of the Patrick Lussier Dracula trilogy, finds at the end that Dracula in the third movie is played by Rutger Hauer, and just to see him in those 15 minutes, you're like, "Fuck, this is awesome."
Yeah, he was great. That's the thing, like Billy Drago, and it's to a lesser extent, Rutger Hauer. He's just got a presence about him, man. He can just stand there and not say a fucking word, and he's still.
If you ever saw
a movie like this, it's a grindhouse movie. It's like a trauma film. So you're getting Rutger Hauer in Hobo with a Shotgun. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's a movie for you, Mike, specifically, but he is phenomenal
in this,
in that type of movie. You know what I mean? He's that fucking good.
And I'll give you that, Eric, about the trauma film concept of that movie. But he makes it not a trauma film.
Right.
I don't mind watching trauma films. Some of them are good. Some of them oh, geez, okay.
Yeah.
But, it's but when he did it, I'm like, all right, this is a step up to like, boy, this is a good low-budget independent film that works.
Yep.
So
I loved seeing Rutger. I couldn't believe it when I saw him in Batman Begins.
Oh, yeah.
He's the CEO. He's a jerk.
Yeah.
Oh, Did you get the memo?
Oh, yeah.
He's just such an asshole. He's only got a couple of lines in it, but you're like, fuck, it's Rutger Hauer, man.
I saw him in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yep. He was in that vampire.
The vampire in it, and he actually gave it credibility.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody else was playing it for the joke and everything else, but he was playing it for.
He knew what he was in.
He knew what he was in.
Yeah. He was actually okay. He was maybe the only okay thing about the Salem's Lot remake. He played Barlow.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it was closer to what the novel had in mind for Barlow, who was much more of a Count Dracula than a Nosferatu, what Tom Hooper did. But yeah, he was actually pretty good. And to see him go, like when James Cromwell is the priest, Father Callahan, and he just disarms James Cromwell. I mean, anything with Rutger Hauer. But yeah, unfortunately, we don't have Rutger Hauer to save us here. We have fucking Richard Jekyll, who kills Billy Drago within the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Now here's the thing. I saw this movie once. I do own it on Blu-ray. It was a blind buy, so give me some slack. I'd never seen it before. And I remembered nothing from it the first time I watched it. I might have been drunk, a Saturday afternoon. Let's watch some fucking Chuck Norris. So I'm watching it here, and I'm like, okay, I know what I'm getting into because it's a canon film. All right. And it's a Chuck Norris canon film. You have to set the bar lower than normal. You know what I mean? You have to do that with certain movies. But when Discount Rutger Hauer walks in, and the one chick she's snorting the coke, and he slams her head down, and then he shoots Billy Drago in the dick and throws her out the window. I'm like, okay, this might not be a good movie, but I might have a little bit of fun. And then it's just it's like that balloon deflates right away.
Yeah.
You
know what I mean?
Like how do they know? How do they know where Chuck Norris is hiding in the Everglades?
Right.
Like how do they know just to show up to his house in the middle of fucking nowhere, in the middle of the Florida swamps? They know exactly where to go.
He kept tabs on him. You kick him in the face, he won't forget or something like that.
Yeah, they've got some sort of symbiotic relationship from these nightmares or something. They kick in the face, John, you look like you want to. Yeah.
No, it was there was some.
He's like, no, I don't.
What the hell was the deal with the pet aardvark or armadillo? I mean,
that's called padding, John.
And I know, but I'm watching this.
Are those in Texas or something? You don't have armadillos in a swamp.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there thinking, I mean, if Chuck jumped out the window when they blow up the house with the armadillo in his arms, I'd be like, all right, he's saving his dog. I'll go with that.
Right.
He blows up the house and then goes back in, turns off the lamp because the lamp was still on. Even though
you don't want it to catch fire. Yeah, you don't want to waste oil.
It's like
you don't want to waste oil.
What the hell?
Yeah. Waste not, want not, John. Don't tell me you read your Ben Franklin.
Exactly.
What?
I love when the guy and the other CIA guy shows up, rows out into the middle of the swamp on a rowboat.
Horribly.
Yeah,
he could
he
barely.
Looked like he was going to have a heart attack getting there.
And he showed, but I did like that one scene where Chuck jumps out of nowhere. I'm not interested. And he just,
but that's Chuck being Chuck.
Yeah,
I mean that's moments when that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and we didn't get enough. We didn't get enough of that.
Yeah, that was the problem. Like I said, there's shows of promise that if it's not going to be a good movie, like me and you, Mike, we know there's a difference between there's a difference between a good movie and a fun movie. We could Stone Cold, man, that movie is awful, but we fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
This could be like that. The problem is there's so much boring stuff in between these little slices of fun. The cokehead and Billy Drago getting shot in the crotch. That's fun. And then nothing.
Right. Or like
nothing,
the useless reporter.
Yeah.
She had one good scene when she was being held hostage by the one guy and Chuck saves her, and then she gets pissed and throws the garbage can lid. That's it. It's the only time she was fun, and that was
she called
10
Chuck
seconds.
by his first name, and Chuck never told her.
I
went back and listened to it. He never told her what her name was, and then she said, "Do something, Hunter."
Yeah.
And I'm going, "Are you? No. I got up, hit pause, put a circle in my front yard. Said, "No, my name is."
Gotta walk it off. Walk it off.
Well, no, her husband goes, "Are you okay?" And I went, "Invasion USA." And he went, "Chuck Norris." He goes, "Yeah, all right."
We've been there, John. It's okay.
You know, that's what he said. "Oh, yeah, I got you, man. Go ahead. Take the walk. Take the walk." I was doing laps because I was cussing in gym class.
We had, and then Jekyll keeps pulling the team off of the initial assignment. We don't know who created the assignment, if it's the KGB or if they're just a rogue terrorist organization or whatever. Keeps pulling them off the job to fight Chuck Norris. And all Chuck Norris has are these two Uzis.
It's all he needs, Mike. It's all he needs.
I'm the sheriff.
Yeah. And that pickup truck.
Yeah.
And the pickup truck. He's got two Uzis and a pickup truck, and he just flattens an entire terrorist organization. What, 50 men? 50 men. I'd say 50 men.
Or more. I mean, when they first came marching on the beach in pontoon boats, I was like, this is like D-Day.
Well, see, and that's what I mean. You know, you have these little scenes of fun crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I like Joseph Zito as a director. You know, he's done a couple horror movies that I enjoy. He did the first Missing in Action.
Yeah.
So he knows how to film something and make it look good when you have a Canon Films budget. Right. When they came off the pontoon boats and they were walking up to those trucks and the lights came on, that looked fucking cool in the dark and everything. I'm like, okay, now we're starting to pump things up again, and then nothing fucking happens.
No, like going to that scene before that where the two people were making love on the beach or tried to make love on the beach, and the one guy caught him and he shot them. Spoiler alert, there's a lot of shooting in this movie.
There's a lot of shooting in this movie.
And he turned around and shot them. There was no blood. You didn't see it.
Yeah, it was all off screen.
When the friend died at the gate, to save him, Matt, whatever his name was, the engine, they just called him. You never saw him. Chuck Norris carries him. You don't see any blood on him. He just covers him with a blanket and you don't see it. They were doing everything they possibly could not to show violence.
It's to save money.
I don't know, because if they didn't have the money for the squibs or they were trying to keep it a PG rating to get younger kids in it because there was going to be.
No, this was rated. This was rated R. Yeah.
Oh, was it rated R?
Yeah.
Here's a question, and I mean this respectfully. If anybody knows the answer to this, because I mean no disrespect to Chuck Norris. I'm a Chuck Norris fan. But sorry about that. My phone. Was there a narcotics phase in his career or something? That
to my knowledge, Chuck's always lived a clean life. I've never heard about any drugs, drinking, anything like that. I
do not wish to disparage the man in any way, shape, or form. Been a lifelong fan my whole life. Respect the hell out of the man, but I can't figure out how this.
I think what it is.
It was the 80s. It was the 80s.
I think what it is, honestly, Chuck just likes to work.
That's what I was thinking.
I think he wants to be a working actor. I mean, he's been retired for a long time. I mean, Stallone had to beg him.
He's got a new movie coming out.
Does he really?
He's got a new project. Yeah, he's got a new project. I just saw him on IG.
Wow.
People don't realize how old he is.
He's 82. because me and my wife were watching because Stallone had to beg him to be in Expendables 2 because he didn't really want to do it because he's kind of pushing away from like the violent stuff now.
Yeah.
But he's 82. I watched him on Instagram. He doesn't look like what you would think an 82-year-old man.
No.
He looks better than us. You know what I mean? And he could kick the shit out of all three of us at 82 years old.
We keep saying we respect Chuck Norris.
Yeah,
exactly.
I say this with all due
watches this
respect.
show,
Yeah.
he's going to come to Jersey and beat our asses.
Yeah, please don't hurt us, please. Thank you.
You know,
Yeah, but I think it's just he likes to be a working actor, and he just takes.
As a performer, you never want to go into a project and say, "All right, this is going to suck."
Right.
I really thought he might have thought it would have been good. I think that's why they amped up a lot of, to me, what became silly violence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But because they wanted to, they really, I think, generally went in to try to make a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you have to believe that.
Right.
But this time it just didn't work. Like, that's why I was saying there was a problem with him. They took the Chuck Norris out of Chuck Norris.
Even Chuck himself says, he's like, yeah, we went overboard with this. Because I was looking on, research, air quotes, Wikipedia stuff. And like even Chuck says, he's like, yeah, this was, he didn't say it was bad because he doesn't want to trash his product.
Right.
He's like, yeah, we went a little overboard.
That's what I wind up saying when I'm doing it. If something didn't work, we've done better with other stuff.
Yeah, that's basically what he was saying.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I mean, this was wildly popular back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's the 80s, man.
Oh, yeah.
As in all these canon movies were.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you look at them now and you're like, okay, yeah, this could use a little sprucing up here. So on and so forth. But if you were there at the time, I know John was, I was, and even in 85. In 85, I was 16. I was 16. So, I mean, these were wildly popular. And if they weren't wildly popular at the theater, which they were also wildly popular when it came to the video store rentals.
And HBO.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and on HBO. You couldn't keep it on the shelf.
And
these types of things. So they made a lot of money.
In the 80s, because you mentioned video rentals, I saw a thing, doing my little research on the movie. In the 80s, Invasion USA was the second biggest rental because it was bought up by MGM. And Invasion USA became the second biggest rental in their canon, right behind Gone with the Wind. It was Gone with the Wind was the biggest rental for MGM, and then right behind it was Invasion USA. I mean, it's people got into that type of, I don't know, like I saw a little documentary thing when they were talking about this movie, and they were showing Chuck Norris and they were blowing up the Christmas town and stuff like that. And I'm hearing from South Park, America, fuck yeah. That's what they were playing in the background as they were doing it but that's what, at the time, people really got into that. Reagan.
Yeah, and then,
you had Stallone, you had Schwarzenegger, you had a lot of these movies with big guns and big muscles. I mean,
it was number one at the box office.
Some of them hit and made great.
Yeah.
And, lasted long, and some you realize, okay.
Yeah, a little bit more of a flash in the pan. But, I mean, we're just on the cut. I mean, Arnold has taken off. The Terminator is just the year. This is 1985, so the year before we have the Terminator. We've had Conan and a few other things. We're just on the verge of having Lethal Weapon, and then Bruce Willis. The year after that with Die Hard. So these, it was an era of these big actiony blockbuster, and it was just a matter if you could connect a halfway decent story to them. I still think of all those movies, Lethal Weapon wins for the best story.
I think so too.
Because I just think the Martin Riggs character is a fascinating character. And especially when you contrast him with a great actor. Mel Gibson is actually a great actor, but back then we didn't necessarily know it. We knew him as an action star. But when you put him together with like a straight man like Danny Glover. And that was what
so well together.
Was what that just clicked fantastically. But we also had a ton of these, lower budget just sort of straight
Oh,
action.
yeah.
You know, nowadays it'd be considered direct to video.
Right.
Right.
You
Exactly.
know, sorts of films. And yeah, they made a lot of money for their time and for what they were.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
a really good documentary, and I watched it on Tubi called Electric Boogaloo: The Story of Canon Films, and I
Right.
highly recommend it.
Oh,
You know,
okay,
just seeing
okay.
all the behind the
Show
scenes stuff.
Kasugi.
Yeah, because that's where they got their money. That's where they got their money.
Yeah.
You know, they made these low budget movies, and they were able to make money at the box office. You know, they knew what they were making.
Yeah.
The Sho Kosugi movies, you know, the three
Right.
Enter the Ninja movies.
Yeah.
Right.
You had Dolph Lundgren as fucking He-Man and Red
Right.
Scorpion.
Yeah,
I
right.
think I could be wrong. I think Dolph Lundgren's Punisher might have been canon.
I
And
think
Chuck
so
Norris
too. Yeah.
had a long working relationship with him.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Dudikoff and the American Ninjas. If you've
Oh,
ever
yeah,
seen
I
those,
remember
remember those ones?
Yeah,
I mean,
So
yeah,
they put
yeah.
so little into it, and they cut
Right.
so many fucking corners that they couldn't help but make a profit.
And if you think of some of the directors that came out of that, I
Mhm.
mean, you know, it's also like the Roger Corman movies, the
Yep.
directors that came out of that, because that's
Yeah.
where they cut their teeth.
Yep.
I mean, and it's a difference between somebody who, okay, this is the script, let's try to make the movie, but I'm saying, all right, let's try to be ingenious with it. Let's try to
Right.
see what we can do with it.
Mhm.
Yes,
And you can
yeah.
tell the difference.
Mhm.
To this day, I still remember my first introduction to Jean-Claude Van Damme, and it was in a Sho Kosugi movie called Black Eagle.
Yep.
I've never seen it.
And that is a fantastic action film. And Van Damme is the bad guy.
Yep.
And, you know, obviously
Yeah.
the big fight is with Kosugi. And that initial fight scene, I was like, "What the? Who the fuck is this?" Because he's doing the split,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and you know, even Kasugi was like, "Whoa, you know, what the fuck was
Yeah,
that?"
I
You
love
know,
Kosugi, yeah.
yeah. I
Movie
mean,
is a
back
lot
in
of
the
fun.
day, man, yeah.
Yeah,
Kasugi was
Revenge of the Ninja, you know, canon film or not, Sho Kosugi kicks so much ass in Revenge of the Ninja.
Oh yeah, and you always had the gratuitous nudity.
Yep.
You know, you
Because
had the hot blondes with like Susan George back in the day, and
the creators of canon films, I don't know if they actually came from pornography or not. They might have just produced pornography back then, but they knew what sold: violence and sex.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like it or not, so did Shakespeare. You know,
yeah,
that's what somebody said. If you look at some of the Shakespeare stuff, there's violence, there's sex, there's, you know, it's what's sold.
yeah, it's murder, yeah,
You know,
murder, betrayal, you know, these sorts of things.
yeah.
When you think of it in the larger context, you know, it's clearly a product of its time.
Yeah.
To
It
look at it, it almost seems, although it's not, it almost seems unfair to look at it individually.
Yeah.
But there were, I mean, you know,
Hey.
I remember the first time I saw Enter the Ninja, and they had Franco Nero. Franco Nero as the ninja, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like he doesn't know martial arts.
No.
Like Franco Nero, not a martial artist,
he's
playing
awful.
a ninja. Yeah, and
It's awful. But
you know, you see him in some of the old spaghetti westerns, and maybe you'll see him in a John Wick movie now and again. This, that, and the other, but
Right.
you know, that was my introduction to Sho Kosugi because he was the ninja in that movie playing the bad guy, and then later, you know, getting his own trilogy as the good guy. And that was my introduction to Ernie Reyes, who played his son, if I'm not mistaken, playing you know, one of the, you know, the Kid Ninja or whatever. These sorts of things. These movies were just
Yeah. And they were. I mean, you know, what's his name? All the good movies that Kurt Russell did during the time of the Blockbuster Friday nights. He said you could walk in a Blockbuster Friday night and you would never see Big Trouble in Little China. You know, it was roughly about that same time when it came out, the John Carpenter film. And it's not one of the greatest films that he ever made, but it's actually part of that time. And I actually love it because I find it charmingly campy.
yeah,
that's many people's favorite film of his, Carpenter.
It is. It's my favorite Carpenter film, and honestly, Kurt Russell's my favorite actor. It's my favorite Kurt Russell film, and it sounds goofy because of how great Russell is in general, and how great the Thing is.
Oh, yeah.
The Thing is if we did our rankings now, like if we redid the thing, I would be very surprised if anyone who is associated with this channel did not give it a 5. You know what I mean? Because I think the thing is that good.
Still has one of the best endings.
I just put Big Trouble in Little China over just because of like the fun factor. You know what I mean?
And it is. It's a fun factor.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's what in the 80s they had that too.
Right.
Where the hero had the fun factor.
It was okay to be that one-man army, because we had Rambo. I don't know if First Blood Part 2 was out by now, but we had that one-man army destroying anything and everyone. Like, we already had Commando, you know what I mean?
And Raw Deal. Don't forget that one with Schwarzenegger, where he was the one-man.
Yeah.
But I put Raw Deal the same way as I put Invasion USA.
Yeah. Well, me and Mike, we both love Commando. It's a fun fucking movie, but it's not good. It's not good.
No, it's not a good movie.
No. Oh, no. Remember when I said I'd kill you last? I lied.
Yeah.
But it's a great line.
Steve Bennett.
Yeah. Oh, but it's a great line. You got I'm going to hit you with so many. I'm going to hit you with so many rights.
So many rights. You're going to beg for a left. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
That might have been the best line of the whole movie.
Yeah, and I sat there and went, "That's such a dumb line, but it works." And in my head, I'm like, "That's what it was for that movie."
And the highlights of the film were when he was actually doing things like that.
Yes.
They weren't the chase scenes. They weren't the shooting scenes. It was
the guy in the bar who confronted him saying, and the beer bottle.
Yeah.
Fake goes, I don't know you. That's good. I don't know you either. And tries to walk. I mean, but they were great moments in it. But it just didn't work on other things for me.
All right, hold on a second. We've got. I wanted to show you this. He does have some new projects coming. So this was from yesterday, 2 days ago. I'm back in action alongside Derek Ting and Mark Singer in Agent Recon. Coming out next year. Here are some behind-the-scenes photos of one of my fight scenes choreographed by my son, Dakota. I can't wait for you all to see it. Stay tuned. God bless. Chuck Norris.
Cool. That's very cool.
Hey. Yeah, that's the video we watched. That man does not look like, he's in his 80s.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
Yeah, we should all be so lucky when we
he looks like that at 82, and I get disgusted every time I look in the mirror. You know what I mean? And I'm 42.
If I look at that, I'm 3 years off from hitting 62. If I look that good there, and then I'll be happy. I'll be a very happy man.
Yep.
You guys need some Taekwondo classes.
Oh yeah. Or time I shoot
you right up.
Who knows?
All right. I don't. There's no great depth to this movie and point in discussing, any of the plots because there is no plot really.
No, there's no plot
to speak of.
Right.
But I would like to get back once things start to warm up again, in either the spring or the summer, and look at a stream of martial arts film of high quality, and get Chuck Norris in there. I don't know that I want to get into Bruce Lee because. Bruce Lee, those movies have a bit of a quality control problem. The key to the Bruce Lee
Enter
movie
the Dragon.
Maybe, but I don't feel it. The key to the Bruce Lee movie is the Bruce Lee physicality. It's not the film itself, because past that, there's not much to talk about.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of good things out there that we'll probably get. All right. We went 38 minutes. Let's get to this.
Let me play. I'll play devil's advocate. Like I said, looking at it as a canon film. If the main problem with this movie is, yes, there is no story. It's a shit villain. You know what I mean? The thing is, with me, I do have fun with the mindless action. You know what I mean? I love the scene in the mall. I love the car chasing. That stuff is, for me, is fun. The absurd. I literally finished this like right before I joined the stream with you guys, and when Chuck Norris literally blows up that asshole with a rocket launcher, I'm like,
yeah, they've got dueling RPGs on each other. Yeah.
Now, when we're at that point, I'm like, okay, that's too much, but why the fuck not? There is some fun. You turn your brain off with this film.
Well, wait. Let's get to the part in the stream where we rate the film.
Okay.
let's get to that. So
Sure.
this channel has a rating system that goes from 0 up by halves to 5. So 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5, all the way to 5. So 0, for example, would be I'd rather lick a rat than watch this movie again. All the way to 5, which is this is cinema. This is the destination. This is why I discuss films on this channel in the first place. Well, let's go with Eric. How would you rate 1985's Invasion USA?
Okay. If 5 is a cinema, I gotta be honest. I'm gonna say for a canon film, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna give this a 3 for the fun stuff, the action that I do enjoy. The problem is there's not enough of. They have a lot that goes on at once, like a good 5-minute scene. But then there's nothing. There's a lot of stuff that is pretty boring.
Sure.
You cut out 20 minutes of this. But I'm going to give it a 3 because I'm going to be honest. This is no worse than like Highlander. You know what I mean? Something like that. You know, which.
Oh, I thought it was worse than Highlander. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I thought it was worse than Highlander. Yeah.
I think I had just enough fun to be nice.
With Highlander, you had Lambert, you had Connery. And when you didn't have Connery, you had Clancy Brown.
Right.
When you didn't have that, you had a halfway decent soundtrack. You know, you had Freddie Mercury going, in the background or something like that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of mess in there, but I thought this was better.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's fine. Okay, so 3 from Eric. John, what do you got for us?
Be honest,
I
boy.
did say, the depth is lower than a.
You did say that.
But when the kids were arguing who was going to put the star on the tray in the movie, and the little girl came out and put the star up on the tray, and they blew up the fucking town, I applauded. I really did. And also, side note, they got to blow up that town because, quite literally, the town was set for demolition. So that's how they were able to blow up the town.
Save that money.
I got to give it a 2 score, Mike, only because I'm giving it a point, or I'm giving it a 1 for the movie, but I'm giving it a 5 to Chuck because I'm afraid he'd come to New Jersey and kick my ass. So if you average it out, I'm going to give it a 2.5, averaging it out. But meaning the 2 is for Chuck.
Yeah.
Right.
The 0.5 is for everybody else.
Right. Okay. So he doesn't want that recurring dream like Richard Jekyll getting his ass kicked. For all.
What do you mean
eternity.
recurring dream? He did kick my ass once, but that's
Yeah. All right. I am going to go with a 2.
Okay.
I think that this movie had a lot of potential, but it just didn't. It didn't live up to it. I would have liked to have seen more Chuck Norris. But looking at it again, it is like we said, it's a product of 1985 canon film.
Right.
So you let it go. But yeah, I'll give it a 2.
If I make a suggestion to any people out there who have not seen it yet, wait till Christmas Eve after you've had about 4 eggnogs. Then watch it. You'll reach for the 5th and maybe a 6th before it's over. That's all.
That might do it. That might do it.
Well, I'll say that I will give credit where credit's due. It wasn't so bad like Lords of Salem, where you did not want to talk about it, Mike.
No.
Okay.
No, because that was that actually offended me. That was just.
Ooh, that's saying a lot with you.
It was vile for just being vile, and I was just like, that isn't the type of content I want to cover on the show. Silly or goofy, this is kind of goofy. That's another thing. What he was doing in there was just.
No, can I ask one thing before we turn off on this? Because it's something that got me, and when I started doing a little research, it seemed to get a lot of other people. After Chuck hits the guy with the rocket launcher, it just ends.
Yeah.
Right.
What did you think about that? That it just came to an end. There was no he met the reporter who was flirting with him at one point in time, and it just
He's
kind of.
going back to wrestle with gators.
I don't know.
I'll tell you the truth. Like I said, I like my crap. You know what I mean? Mike likes to give me shit for that. I like my crap, but even I was suffering from whiplash, shaking my head so hard when he blew that fucker up. I'm like, I didn't care that it just ended. Like I said, I'm like, okay, why not? The end.
Because I noticed like he was standing there and it was dusty, and I was waiting for him to walk out and have all the army people, because it was an 80 thing, all the army people would have applauded as he stood there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it just ended. I mean, I rewinded. Am I missing something? And because I saw it in the movie theater on a bet, and went back in the 80s, and I'm like, I don't remember it ending like. I'm like, oh shit, it must have ended like that. Yeah, that's all. I just thought it was a strange thing to do with that movie, type deal. I don't know why.
The way that movie was playing out, nothing really surprised.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I just wanted to know if anybody else had the same thing that I was. That's all.
No, not at all. All right, John, you got anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, can I? I got something, and it's weird because.
Oh.
No, I did
here we are.
I wrote a story today on or a few days ago for the newspaper about a group of people who are doing a charity thing to raise money for people who are a little disenfranchised, especially children.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to my attention because they asked me if I wanted to include my brother Bill's toy drive that he started. And while I was writing it, I realized it was 30 years ago this year he did it.
Oh.
And Bill passed away in 2005.
Okay.
And it's now, they're calling it the Sergeant William Alvarez Toy Drive. As much as I love pushing for the toy drive and things like that, it made me think of a lot of different things because of what I'm going through in my life with issues and seeing people working with other people who are having problems. Because of the holiday season, we have a tendency to get a little either wrapped up in the gifts or wrapped up in the music, or even worse, wrapped up in depression. Maybe we should get wrapped up just doing one kind act.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to be preachy, but just something nice this year. You know, that's all. That's all.
Good for you.
Because I found it like this week, especially with working with different people, it's like I'm doing nice things that I haven't done in a while as a person. And I'm going, you know what? We should kind of consider that every now and then. That's all.
Agree.
Cheers.
That's all. No preaching. Just teaching.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's the holidays. You know, maybe we should be thinking of others instead of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no matter how rough we have it, you know, there are always other people out there, probably not too far away from us, that are know, having it worse. You know. Where was it? What was I?
It's Eric. What do you have anything to say?
It's funny. I was just I was watching that show, The Chosen. And there's been people who have been suffering for, you know, just suffering has just been an ongoing stream, you know, throughout the human condition, you know. And, you know, today, you know, it probably would or would not surprise people, you know, just to know how much the average person might be starved for a kind word. You know, you don't have to, you know, donate half your paycheck, you know, in order to do something kind for somebody. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Oh no, I had a guy walk up to me, and I was talking to something. And he put his hand on my shoulder and he went, "You doing okay?" Out of the blue, and I looked at him. I went, "No, but thanks for asking." You know, and it was funny. All right, I'm just making sure you're all right, and that was it. So I'm walk off. I was like, "Wow, all right," and just out of the blue.
It's a good thing.
So just passing that along. Trust me, I'll be the smart ass, sarcastic person next week. I promise.
All right, we're holding you to it, Johnny.
I will.
All right, Eric, what you got for us?
YouTube channel, Hey Internet, Eric here. First, I want to plug the interview I did last Saturday night with Derek Hoover, the host of the Yesterday's podcast. It went really well. We were planning on 90 minutes. We went fucking 2.5 hours just talking about a time we were growing up, you know, in the 80s and stuff. We mentioned, you know, cartoons we grew up with, movies, stuff like that. He talked about being an author, you know, having a book. And we also talked about being a father, you know, because I have a daughter, he has a son, and like little things like, you know, hey, what were you successful as, like introducing what you love to your child? You know, what did you fail? Like you hate, oh, they're gonna love this, and they, you know, they fucking hated it, type of thing. So it was a lot of fun, you know, Q&A and word association. I had a lot of fun with him. I just dropped my first Rocky video today, like literally like a half hour before we went live. I'm going through that franchise finally. I'll probably have Rocky 2 up by sometime this weekend, but you know, I have the first Rocky video, and I'm still continuing this interview series. I actually scored for January. I am discussing, I do enjoy deathmatch wrestling. Deathmatch Wrestling Hall of Famer Madman Pondo. I am going to discuss wrestling in general, deathmatch wrestling. He's a fan of horror movies. He's been in a movie with Robert Englund. Just sitting down, shooting the shit, you know, talking about how when he would tour Japan, the different cultures over there, wrestling wise and stuff like that. So that was scheduled for January 20th. He's going to be coming back from Japan sometime before that. So it's going to be cutting it close, but yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Nice. I'll be happy to repost those Rocky videos for you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
How did you like the first one?
This is honestly, I grew up, I mentioned it in the videos, I grew up on the sequels. I've only seen the first movie maybe 2 or 3 times. I absolutely loved it. You can tell if you watch the video, like when I'm really into something, I'm really animated. Like Mike, remember when I was discussing Midnight Mass with you? I'm really animated. Spoilers, I do think Rocky 2 is better for different reasons, but I think Rocky is pretty damn near perfect. I keep telling people who've never seen it or aren't interested, I don't want to watch a fucking boxing movie.
Yeah.
It's not a boxing movie. It's a movie about a boxer. There's a difference. It's like The Wrestler. It's not a wrestling movie. It's a movie about a wrestler.
There's a documentary that came out on HBO. They were talking about sports films. And this was pre The Wrestler. Came out like 2005. And it was Billy Crystal. He turned around and said, if you look at Rocky and say it's a boxing movie, I hate to break the news to you, but you're foolish.
Yeah.
It's a love story.
It is.
It's the love story between Adrian and Rocky, 2 people who are not perfect.
Correct.
And they make it work. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Because I saw Rocky showing my age. I was 12 years old when it came out. And this was, I saw it at the Mayfair movie theater that was filled with 650 seats. The old-fashioned movie theater. It wasn't until I saw Rocky on HBO that I realized there was dialogue during the fight.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in Northeast Philadelphia and everybody was cheering. There were some people saying, kick his ass. You saw this. He doesn't win. I don't care. Kick his ass. You know, that type deal. But it was, you know, that emotion type deal. That's why I was wondering, because when you said it, I was like, how'd you like the first one?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. There's a lot
I'm curious to what you're gonna think of the second one after, if you watch them in this session.
I've got the collection. I'm watching them all in order, and there is a big tonal shift once we get to 2 and 3 and we enter the 80s. But I'll say this: I am also doing the Creed films. You know, the 3 Creed films, because Stallone's in 2 out of the 3, and I'll do part 3 because why the hell not? If we didn't, I'll say this: if we didn't have the 3 Creed films, spoilers with Rocky Balboa, perfect bookend. Oh yeah, perfect bookend and nods to the original film. It's a great fucking character in general.
It is. I used to say I said you can keep the first movie and the Rocky Balboa movie. Everyone in between, you can give or take it, you know, type deal. I liked them. Don't get me wrong. I love Stallone marching through the snow carrying lumber. You know, I always did. And you burning hot. There you go. Great soundtracks too. They were great soundtracks.
All right. I don't know which one we're going to do next week.
Let's pick it right now.
When do you have? So is Lethal Weapon the week of Christmas? How are you playing on that one?
The week before, because Christmas falls on a Monday this year.
Oh, yes, that's right. Okay.
So it's got to be. So I think we've got time for 2 more before Christmas, and then I guess we can do 1 movie afterwards. So it'll either be Jingle All the Way or Batman.
Okay, it's your channel, but I'm going to suggest this. I don't know if we can handle 2 cheesy, goofy movies in a row. Let's maybe cleanse the palate with some Batman, but it's up to you.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Batman's
Mhm.
fine. Batman's fine.
We all want to talk about Michael Keaton.
Oh,
and
wait a
Michelle
minute.
Pfeiffer in
I
that
just want to
cat
look at
suit.
Michelle Pfeiffer. That's
Yeah,
all.
and Michelle Pfeiffer in the cat suit.
And fucking Christopher Walken.
Yep.
Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken's a son of a
Was-
bitch in that movie, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
He's a son. Bottom line, I'll drop her out of a higher window.
Yep.
yeah. No,
I love it. I love it.
I think he gets so
Max Shrek.
ignored in that
Isn't he
movie.
Max Shrek?
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Shrek.
Max
Yep.
Shrek. Yeah, he plays.
Yeah.
What a fucking name, Max
Let's
Shrek.
make a mayor. You know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
You
so
want
full
to go
of shit.
10 rounds with Muhammad Shrek? Okay,
Yeah,
no
no, it's-
problem.
I think people forget him because of Danny DeVito being in the prosthetics and Michelle. They forget how good,
Yeah.
Christopher Walken was in that movie.
It's also the costume. You know, he's always got that dark coat on. His hair's
Mhm.
bleach white, so it
Yeah.
doesn't look like Walken.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! When Michelle Pfeiffer goes, "You idiot! He is Batman," and
Yeah.
he goes, "Was," and pulls the trigger. I'm like, "You motherfucker!"
I think we
Fucking
made the
Walken, man.
decision, Mike.
Yeah. All right, so it's gonna be.
Sorry.
I'll let Julia know.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then also, let's see. Next week. Well, the week's not over here yet, so I'm always having relevant content. Did you watch Exorcist Believer yet?
I'm going to watch that this
boy.
weekend, God willing, and I'll probably
Poor
have
soul.
that in
Poor
between
bastard.
the Rocky movies. I'm making a video on Believer regardless because it's going to be. I have
Better you than me.
I have a playlist of videos called "Is It Worth the Hate," where you take a movie that I
good.
haven't seen and I give my honest opinion. Like, is it worth all the hate that everyone's saying?
Mhm.
And I haven't done one in a long time, so I think Exorcist Believer
Mhm.
is perfect for this, and I'll decide if it's worth all the shit saying and all that. From what I've seen, I'm gonna say probably, but looks can be deceiving.
Mhm.
So I'll probably watch it this weekend though.
So there's that coming up, and then next week also the plan is I'm going to head to New York next Friday
Okay.
because Zack Snyder is dropping Rebel Moon
That's
in
right.
four cities only. He's dropping it in L.A., New York, Paris, and London. I have
Wow.
a ticket for the very first feature on that Friday. I think 12 noon at the Paris Theater on West 58th Street.
Look at him smile talking about it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, what
I'm
the hell, man? Yeah,
He's
that's
gonna be
good.
skipping to the theater.
You might as
I'm
well.
running. I'm running like a motherfucker.
The more I'm reading and hearing about it, I'm like, run.
Yeah,
run,
it's going to
Forrest,
be
run.
really. I'm
get
really looking forward to that. And who knows? I think Zach's going to be in like Paris or something like that.
Right.
But they might have something
wouldn't?
set up for people that are there for like the first show. Maybe some merch or something like that.
They got to have something. If it's only 4 cities, they got to have something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But then I would like to cover that because it's going to hit Netflix the next week.
Right.
It hits Netflix the next week. So I would like to cover Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon here on the show, winter break, whatever you want to call it, and see about doing some sort of stream. And aside from the usual relevant content and things that pop up, what else is coming up soon? Well, we got Aquaman. I'll probably end up covering that. The Iron Claw, that's coming up.
And you saw Godzilla -1, right? And you said that was great.
That was that might be the best Godzilla movie of all time, better than the original.
Really? Because I know you fucking love the original.
It might be better than the original. It makes everything the Monsterverse is doing just look silly. So when you came up the next day with that trailer, I'm like,
yeah,
just bad timing. Just bad timing.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, actually, it's funny. I just found out it's like I don't think it's going to come to the movie theater where I work, but the one that's literally a mile and a half down the road, they said, "Oh yeah, it's been here all week." Sorry.
Yeah.
It's
It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. And just a great story.
Mm-hmm.
4 kick-ass action scenes, full-on Godzilla scenes, each one better than the one before.
Cool.
Fantastic stuff. Fantastic. All right.
You see the subtitles?
Yes, it's in Japanese.
Okay.
It's in Japanese with
No, I don't know if you saw. Somebody was saying that they were asking if they dubbed in English, and I said, I
No,
can't believe it's just
no,
subtitles.
don't say that. Don't say that.
No,
No,
that's oh, and I agree. I
Yeah.
agree with you that I'm all for the subtitles. And
Yeah.
somebody else is going, well, I won't watch it then. And I said, well, then you're silly. I said, you're silly.
You miss out on a. It's like when you meet kids who are young people who won't watch a movie because it's black and white. Well, guys, you're missing out on some great fucking shit.
What was the movie Parasite where they spoke Korean?
Yeah,
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I heard that was really good.
Told, from what I was told, a couple of the people who worked at the movie theater for a couple of years before me, they said people got up and walked out.
Bye.
They didn't know it was in Korean. It was in subtitles. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Have a good time.
I was shocked. I'm like, subtitles don't bug me at all.
No,
not at all.
The only shocks I get anymore are pleasant surprises. That's about it. Those are the only shocks anymore.
All righty.
All right. My thanks to John K. Alvarez, who led the invasion of New Jersey, still hiding out, trying to avoid that kick to the face.
He's now hiding himself because he admitted he watched Invasion USA.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I said too much.
Yes, exactly. And Eric from Hey Internet, Eric here. Thanks to both of you. We will be back next week with Batman Returns, Tim Burton's Batman Returns. Until then, we will see you all in the next video. Later, Gators.
Cheers.